serious, and we got to take the bull by the horns and understand what's going on here and get very serious about this. So now that you understand what's happened here and the whole chain reaction, how every facet of our lives is involved, and if we're miserable and we're overburdened, whether it's through, taxes that go to the government or the tax of paying the cost of living, then you understand it's a miasma. It's a malaise. We're all sucking lemons. So how can you sit there in your prosperity as a homeowner and say, I'm okay with this? How can you be? But then you say, but wait a minute, I know that, look, if we start, providing low-income housing and the government gets involved in buying people houses, well, I have friends that are landlords, and, it's really going to hurt them. It's stepping on their toes. So, they're my peers, and, and there's literally tens of million probably landlords in California, because we got about, 40 million plus people in California. Well, more than half of them are renting. So we're talking about millions upon millions, at least, landlords are out there. So they're everywhere. And more, they get these guys on TV that tell you, hey, become a landlord, a speculator, a flipper, whatever, investor. It's the best thing since sliced bread, and everybody that gets into it makes it, and yeah, we manipulate markets and prices never go down. They've just gone up, and look at the history, look at the facts. Even this clown here, look, this guy, Chris Credit, he's telling you, this is what's taking place. And, well, it will come to an end. It has to come to an end, one way or another. And, the people in charge, they'll just keep pushing the envelope as far as they can. But, we've all got to realize the mess we're in and what it's going to take here. Because when you do solve problems, we've got to admit that, people's job security now depends on the problem persisting. So when you start solving problems, we've got a problem. But that's what happens. With sound currency, our problems would eventually dry up. I don't mean some of our social problems. I mean all of our social problems. All those that hate abortion, that'll dry up. Believe me. If you hate drugs, illicit drugs, and pharmaceutical drugs, and the whole business of drugs, it'll dry up. If you hate GMOs, it'll dry up. Chemtrailing. If you hate prostitution, okay? Even so much of the pornography, it's still a big business. How much money is made, and God knows how they're making it these days online, but you got to imagine there's some blackmail and extortion going on. Okay, would it surprise anybody this sort of thing goes on? But there's a lot of people that are very ashamed of their pornography habit, and it's a subjective term. What's pornographic to one man is just, God's creation to another. So, when it comes to subjective terms, we get our share, and there's a lot of them out there, and these are used to cause division among us. Terms like socialism. Why is socialism, the worst thing, ever? It's one man's nightmare, but for another man, it's his ambrosia. Why is this? Why are we so divided? Again, because we've been trained, taught, inculcated, propagandized, indoctrinated, brainwashed, imbued. We've just been infused with nonsense. Our entire paradigm, up one side, down the other. The whole thing is just a concoction. That's it. None of us know reality. We can't. We've been born. We've been steeped in this satanic civilization from birth. Our peers were. Our parents were. We all were. So we all need grace. We all need understanding. We all need pity. We all need compassion and mercy. We need those things for ourselves to cope and contend and have the strength to carry on in this mess. Therefore, we should offer those things to others and be as gentle as we can, but try to help wake people up. As traumatic as it is, somehow we've got to find a way to reach them. Ask God for help. Say, God, give me the wherewithal. Give me the words, the thoughts. Help me to think first, the things I need to think, the way you want me to think, and then to express them in words, to touch somebody and reach them in the way that is best, okay? To be as divinely tactful in reaching people. Because we're down to the wire. This is about just bringing the good news, fighting the good fight, helping win souls, win friends for God, pull them out of the darkness, out of the fire of hell, where they're headed on this new world order bandwagon of death and destruction. and help them to understand that nobody has to be afraid here, that you don't have to be paranoid. Don't worry. This guy spouting about sound currency, look, this isn't going to hurt anybody. Okay, all the status quo, don't worry. You're not going to lose. You'll be enriched even more. Understand, the value of your currency goes up. So nobody is going to get hurt when God's will is done on earth. And sound currency, remember, it's putting the game in reverse and using it as a means to an end. So eventually, none of us even care about money. We're just saying, we're over it. We're done. We see how prosperous we all are. And we are, we take care of our stuff. As a landscaper, I work at rental property sometime, and they're notorious for not being cared for, the yards. I mean, nobody cares. And if the landlords don't care, they say, look, the rent's the same whether the yard looks good or not. That's your neighbor's problem, and put peer pressure on you. It just happened to me the other day. A neighbor lady came and talked to me about a house I was working at. The tenant lady had hired me. But, it happens all the time. So that's how it is. When we feel a sense of ownership, so this stuff about private property, I mean, it becomes a non-issue. It's all private property. It's all our private property. We have the prerogative rights, the exclusive rights God gave us to be the sovereigns, through Him. He's our proxy that gives us permission. And we have a right to share in the bounty of this earth. Not only the things that this earth came with, all the natural resources from, the agricultural land, the oceans with the fish, the timber, all the natural minerals, and all this stuff that just was here and we have a right to. We should all be given shares from birth, have an entitlement, a right to share in the bounty that's God-given. But the accumulated wealth of the technology, the infrastructure, all these things too, because after all, it was God that gave man the wherewithal to create anything. Not so much as a hammer and nail in terms of technology would exist without the hand of God being involved in giving us a brain. Our parents can't take credit for giving us a brain. We can't do it. What the hell do we know about that? It's a mystery. It's a miracle. It's just praise God, It's nice to be alive. It's nice to exist as a human being. This is cool. And I just want to be a likable person. I want to be the kind of person you want me to be, God, and go out there and love people, show them that you care, show them that you want the best for them, that the happier they are, the happier you'll be. And then, let's just love one another as brothers and sisters, as a family. And if we please our master, our owner, that's the Creator God Almighty, we are guaranteed to find happiness. Okay, this is not up for debate. You will find happiness if you just care about other human beings. And that's why I'm always preaching about, monies, and the fact that without sound money, things are going to continue to deteriorate. Your cost of living is going to continue to go up. The numbers go up as the worth continues to go down. People don't understand the issue. They want to blame what's easiest to blame, the effect of the problem. So minimum wage workers get the brunt. How can this be? I mean, I hear guys that I know are more intelligent than me, like David Knight, Alex Jones, a reporter, talking about this stuff. He was an employer, and he said, well, you know what? I mean, $15 an hour, let's make it $15,000 an hour. What does it matter? I mean, nobody will have an employee or whatever. But I know, he's super smart, smarter than me probably. I know he's more learned, but, on this issue, it's kind of like he's not seeing the forest for the trees. And anybody else out there, I mean, look, this is not a question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. We know that what happened first was your cost of living went up. So if you want to blame somebody, blame the causers of, the numbers going up. I mean, remember, people are just trying to maintain a standard of living. And if they've been able to do it with X amount of numbers, and then that changes, the landlord says, look, I need X amount more numbers from you. Then what do you think's going to happen? They're scared. It puts the fear of God in their soul. They're trying to keep a roof over their head. They're trying to have dignity, maybe take care of a wife and maybe kids, and not have to go on welfare. I mean, and we all know that so many people on minimum wage jobs have to go on welfare now. And that didn't used to be like that. I mean, everybody, people on a minimum wage 50 years ago, you could be a homeowner, literally. Even here in California. And you got this Jarvis Act that came in place in the early 1970s. Oh, we're taxpayer protection, so the existing homeowners were insulated from market manipulation schemes. So, because they would have been very concerned. Otherwise, they would say, hey, the tax assessor is going to come through and they're going to reassess my property. I'm going to pay more taxes based on, this ascension of the neighborhood, where they say, hey, the property values are going up in this neighborhood, so that means my taxes will go up as the reassessments kick in. So you see what a mess this is. Blame correctly. But now California has some of the highest property tax in the world. There's your taxpayer protection scheme. Yeah, so much for that. It's a scam. That's how these special interest groups operate. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap it up there. My tape's over and my voice is about out. But listen, just remember, if you're not disillusioned with this current system, then you are delusional. It's wholly based on madness, and it can't prevail forever. So that's the good news. And just remember the words of the great economist Adam Smith that pointed out that every single nation's single greatest asset is a willing workforce, which makes perfect sense. It's very logical. Nothing gets done without a willing workforce. Conversely, everything can get done with one. So when they talk about numbers, Ecuador earthquake, it's going to cost billions. Just remember, it's going to take